Graduates, staff, and guests on the stage, please rise, and for our guests in vehicles, please remain in your cars and place your hands over your heart for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Switching between speakers.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the graduates of the class of 2020, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the parents, families, friends, and the Board of Education members, administrators, and teachers who are here with us today. 14 short years ago, we filled our backpacks with supplies for the first day of school. While we were a little nervous, we were also extremely excited as our parents held our hands and walked us to our very first classroom. They reminded us to play nicely with other kids, and as they reassured us that they would be back to pick us up, we finally let go of their hands. Well, most of us let go. Some of us needed a little bit more encouragement. Walking through the elementary school doors, we began a 14-year journey that is now coming to a close. Along the way, we faced and overcame challenges from learning to tie our shoes, to tell time, to memorizing calculus and physics theories. The academic and life lessons we've learned throughout the years have prepared us for future success. Without the constant guidance and support of our friends and families and teachers, we may not have made it this far. On behalf of the graduates, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for all that you've done and all you continue to do. Honored guests, please take a look around. Each and every one of you should be extremely proud. For these graduates who sit before you are the result of your love and dedication. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the graduation ceremony of the Tupper Middle High School class of 2020.
I don't need the step stool thing, I guess. Good evening. Welcome to the Tupper Lake Class of 2020 commencement ceremonies brought to you live and in person from the LP Quinn parking lot. So, wow. This is weird. I think you want to believe inside that when some big momentous occasion comes along, just like in the movies, you'll know exactly what to say, or some, bolt of lightning will hit you and you'll say something that's super memorable and inspiring. I think I have, this is weird. I don't know if you're inspired by that or not, but it's 2020. 2020, the year where it was announced that murder hornets were a thing, and that wasn't even news. Murder hornets, nothing. But here we are. We're gathered, we're in person, and in cars. for one last chance to be together and say goodbye to you, the class of 2020. Our plan for this event changed a lot of times. We had, 5 or 6 different plans over the course of the last 3 months. And through it all, what we kept hearing from the seniors we talked to was that you wanted, and I quote, to be together one more time to cheer for each other when we go up on stage. And that, to me, speaks volumes and more than anything about who you guys are as people. The sentiment wasn't, I want to walk across stage. It wasn't, I want my diploma, both of which would be absolutely understandable and justified positions given the current situation. It was, I want to share the moment with my friends, and I want to be there for them. And at a time where it could be fairly easy to wonder about where we're going in terms of our relationships with each other and the way people treat one another, it was really awesome to me that what you guys wanted most was to support each other and share the moment together. That was really cool. And that gives me hope that it hasn't all gone completely sideways, and that in a moment of despair and scary weirdness unlike anything we've ever experienced, all you guys wanted was to be here with each other and for each other. So you all know me pretty well, and I think you know how I think and what I believe in and what I value. So I think you also know that I can be on board with that kind of thinking more than maybe anything else. And it reached me the other day that if you guys are going to be in charge of things going forward, I'm happy about the position we're in. So without further delay, I will officially welcome the graduates, their friends, and family to the graduation ceremony we thought might never happen. Let's celebrate the class of 2020. At this time, I would like to welcome Senior Class President Katie Harriman to the stage.
Good evening. We're all gathered here today for a moment we've all dreamed of for the past 14 years. That sounds pre-K if you can't do the math. However, I don't think many of us have imagined having a parking lot party for graduation. It can be said without a doubt that our senior year has been turned upside down and spun around and vice versa. We missed out on a lot, and things haven't been normal for a long time. Unfortunately, this is just the beginning of greater challenges that lie ahead of us. I wish I could be funny, sentimental, and even a little bit sappy. But as I said earlier, these aren't normal times. If you haven't been living under a rock for the past 5 months or so, I'm sure you've caught wind of the happenings going on in our country. I'm not going to get into detail because there's no need to make this political. I'm going to get straight to the point. It's clear now more than ever that change is needed. What that change might look like is up to you. As we make our way into the world as nurses, doctors, lawyers, police, engineers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, friends, neighbors, it's our responsibility to contribute our part in what change will look like. Your change might look different from my change, and you might be united by change, or you might maybe stand alone. Whatever the circumstances might be, believe in your change and make it happen. I've seen the change we can do as just one class. Imagine what we can do when we take on the world. Here's to what we have done, what we're doing, and the infinite amount of potential for what we're going to do. What will your change be?
Good evening, friends, families, teachers, and faculty of Tupper Lake Central School District. It is my absolute honor and privilege to be standing in front of you all as the salutatorian of the class of 2020. I partially say this is a privilege because I was unsure if we would even have a ceremony of this caliber due to COVID-19. I'm so happy that we were still able to do this though, as this is a really special moment for my entire class and their families. I want to start off by thanking all of the teachers and staff who have been a part of my education from the first day of pre-K until this very ceremony. I would not be standing here today were it not for the exceptional learning environment that the staff has provided every step of the way. To all the teachers I've ever had, you have prompted me to reach my full academic potential since day one. While my teachers have been crucial in helping me get to where I am today, I still owe my largest gratitude to my parents and my close family members. My family has been the greatest influence in my life as I have made my way to adulthood. I would not be the respectful and responsible individual that I am today without the guidance from my outstanding parents. I guess you could say I built up a lot of tolerance for people dealing with my little brother 24/7 too. Anyway, I cannot express enough appreciation for my family during this celebration. To my family members, you are another big part of why I've been able to attain this much success in my academic career. Now, I want to turn to my classmates and offer some words of inspiration. Today is the biggest day that any of us have ever faced. This is the beginning of our futures, the day that all of our education here in Tupper Lake is finally complete. This is the start of the rest of our lives. We are all faced with the greatest opportunity we have ever known, a chance to choose who we want to be in the future. Whether you are entering the workforce, going to a trade school, or enrolling in a 4-year college, you're going to experience countless new people over the coming years. When you meet new people, the door is wide open for you to be whoever you want to be. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. This is your chance to find whatever makes you happy and run with it. Something my parents always told me was that I could achieve anything if I put in enough effort. The same can be said for the rest of you in the class of 2020. The sky is the limit for all of us. Finally, before I go, I want to thank all of the friends I have made along the way through school. I'm never going to forget the experiences I have had with them through the years. I'll never forget the field trips we took to the Wild Center and Blue Mountain Museum when we were little, all of us running around like wild animals. I'll never forget when we all graduated from 6th grade and had the junior version of this current ceremony, and when we all signed each other's shirts and took photos together. I'll never forget the 4 seasons I played with the golf team, the bus rides to each match with the boys, and the courses we learned to play together. I think the most important thing that I'm never going to forget is this ceremony. This is a day we've all been working so hard to get to. Thanks again to all my teachers, past and present, my family, and all of my friends. It is my pleasure to be speaking on such a special occasion. I also want to thank everyone in the audience who has come to witness this ceremony.
Next up is Class of 2020 valedictorian Stephanie Fortune.
Oh boy. Okay. For about a year now, I knew I was going to have to write some sort of speech. So, as I always do, I began mentally preparing myself. But when I actually sat down to write, I had no words, absolutely none. I'm a very talkative person. In fact, I rarely shut up. So, the fact that I was speechless terrified me. I found myself continually procrastinating. Then again, I guess most of my time as a high school student was spent doing just that, putting off assignments as long as possible. Might as well finish the way I started. So, everybody, I really hope this speech is not too boring or cheesy, but no promises. Anyway, I began like I would for any school assignment. I looked up examples online. All I found were a bunch of valedictorians giving advice to the rest of their senior class, but that doesn't feel right to me. We have all grown up together in just about the same way. I really don't think I have any wisdom to offer up that you don't already know. Instead, I began to look back on my memories. So many unexpected stories came flowing back. I am obviously going to miss the big stuff like prom and Spirit Week, but it is the little things that I'm going to miss the most, like Mrs. Bauk running down the hall when she hears a calculator drop, or waiting to double space my paper until the very end to feel more accomplished, team dinners, cookie night, free the ranch, convincing Mrs. Murlob to have a fun day Friday on a Monday, going to Swiss Kitchen between tests and on some rough Saturday mornings, square dancing, floor hockey, and showing up to school 2 seconds before the bell every single day. We have all changed so much. Right now, high school is all we know. Even I tend to look at graduation as an ending. The end of high school, the end of our childhood, the end of seeing our friends every day, the end of seeing all our favorite teachers and coaches, the end of an era. But as cheesy as it sounds, this is only the beginning and the first step to the rest of our lives. We got a long way to go. Every single one of us should look at how far we have already come and then keep growing. Keep becoming better people and find ourselves. So let's continue down memory lane and see how much we have changed throughout the years. Pre-K. We were wide-eyed children walking into Mrs. Duyer's classroom. Some of us held onto our parents' leg for dear life, not wanting to take that big step. The rest of us were running around, wreaking havoc the second our feet entered the door. We had no idea what to expect, but dang, were we excited. And then kindergarten. We were a little more used to the whole school thing. We loved having our reading buddies, doing arts and crafts, attending specials, and of course, trading at snack time. However, for some odd reason that I can't even fathom now, we hated nap time. I remember throwing a fit every time my teacher told me it was time to lay down. And then 1st through 4th grade, we started to grow up a bit. We were making new friends, and our brains were soaking up a lot of information. Some of us were actually really curious about the little lessons we were learning, and other people, like me, interrupted every 5 seconds throughout the day. No teacher could escape a single day without us tattling on each other. And let me tell you, I will never forget the day Ava made fun of me because my feet didn't touch the floor in the bathroom stall. The thing is, I was taller than her. Don't worry, Ava. I forgive you. Kinda. There was also that period in 3rd and 4th grade when all the girls thought we were literal pop stars. We would spend all of recess writing songs and then beg our teachers to let us perform in front of the whole class. Just imagine if we had that kind of confidence now. And then 5th through 6th grade, with our rocking Osiris's or DC sneakers, ripped colored jeans, and a closet filled with Aeropostale injustice, no one could mess with us. Some of us desperately tried to avoid Mr. Facto's going, gone board, and other classmates would do any stupid thing they could to make the class laugh and get their name on that board. Middle school. We all got a little moody and picked up attitudes. It was a constant balance of complaining over the heavy workload, fighting our parents, sassing teachers, and taking a lot of naps. This was also the chance we got to be involved in whatever sports, clubs, or activities we wanted to. It was actually a huge change for us. We had a lot more freedom, and the biggest one, not having to walk in a single file line. We have all experienced annoying walkers in the hallway. Well, that was us at one point or another. High school. What we are saying goodbye to with this ceremony. Even our high school selves have changed so much. I think we can all agree that we are not the same people we were in 9th grade. Some of us love art, sports, music, cosmetology, STEM, conservation. We are different people with different ambitions, but we all have bright futures. During our LP Quinn days, we were not thinking about our futures yet, and there was not some crazy pandemic looming over our heads. My biggest worries were fluoride day, who was going to come to my birthday party, and what I was going to pack for lunch on Adirondack Day. These last 2 years were spent making terrifying, life-changing decisions. Find a passion, choose a career path, choose a college, plan your life out, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, most of us are probably going to end up doing something completely different than we plan on right now. We need to find who we are outside of high school. Life is an uphill battle. It is going to throw challenge after challenge at you. I think we should all agree not to run from them, but to face them head on. This is the time to take risks, step out of your comfort zone, push your limits. Think of it however you want. YOLO, all or nothing, full send or no send, go big or go home. It is all cliche, but it is true. Let's be honest, we've all said it. I can't wait to get out of this town. But at this moment, all I can think about is coming home for winter break and seeing all of my friends. Thank you to everyone in this school district for making this ceremony happen. Thank you to my friends for keeping life interesting and always showing me a good time. And thank you to my family for being so crazy loving and supportive. So, after one of the weirdest senior years there's probably ever been, congratulations to the class of 2020. We did it. Thank you for the memories and see you on the flip side.
you feel any better, Ava, she was on her tiptoes the whole time. Next on the agenda, Mr. McGowan offering his superintendent's address for the last time before he retires.
All right, so tradition dictates a Facebook post, and I said that this is going to be more like, it's going to be just like every other ceremony except we're going to do it here. So I'm committed to this idea of a Facebook post right now, so bear with me for a second. And that's not new. I know! I'm taking a picture of them! All right. All right, so this is going to have to be a video this year because they're so darn spread out. Here we go. All right. I still know. All right. All right, now we're on the internet. Now, in my defense, I normally do a selfie too, but that just seems unmanageable right now. So we'll have to do something else. So there we are. And you're here at your final activity as students of the Tupper Lake Central School District. And I will say in the spirit of full disclosure that you're also the first class that's ever been able to convince me that an outdoor graduation where you could all be together was worth the risk of getting rained on or blown away with some kind of extreme weather. And I, for one, am thankful that you did finally break that barrier and convince me that outdoor was better. So good for you. And I hope it paid off for everybody. Did it pay off out there? If nothing else, it was worth it to see your faces today. You are quite a force of nature. You broke the pattern, and you know the rule, you break it, you buy it. So my philosophy is, though, it's been crazy to think that you're here now. It seems like you just got here. And I say that because I'm glad Stephanie referred to pre-K, because I remember your first day of pre-K, Stephanie. I remember your long hair and those bright, burning eyes with excitement. It was like nothing could stop you. I should have placed a bet on your valedictorianness right then and there. It would have been a good bet. Another thing I remember about that first day for you in pre-K, Skylar, same exact day, maybe a few hours later, broken arm. Welcome to LP Quinn. And I think it was the first of a string of broken arms. Is that right? Yeah. Sometimes you could just call it right on day one. I should have known. Pre-K was the beginning for a lot of you. Not all of you, though, but for a lot of you. But for everybody, at least, those first days were the beginning of your school timeline, as it were. You should know, by the way, if nobody's ever told you before, that commencement actually means beginning, not end. Anybody know that? Yes, thank you. And graduation is really a term for making measurement. So anything could be a graduation. A graduated cylinder is a good example. Little marks measuring how much there is in a container. In that sense, your birthdays are graduation marks on your lives on an annual basis. Today is a huge graduation mark, right? But it's our memories that my grandfather actually taught me that helps us organize those marks along the way. They don't have to be big events necessarily. For me, there's a few memories that I have of just about every single one of you that captures the way I'll remember you as a group collectively, and for most of you, individual moments too that I'll never forget. My earliest memory actually of this group actually comes before you even came to school, and I'll tell you about that. It was during a Saranac Lake dance recital. There was one Shannon Susie, who was so excited to see her sister up on stage that she couldn't contain herself and kept running down the aisle, climbing up on the risers, and having to get brought back. Finally, I looked over at Tracy as if to say, hey, what are we going to do here? And she looked at me in classic Tracy style and said, you go get her. So I did. I retrieved that little Shannon person without even knowing who she was at the time, plopped her down in her seat, and lived happily ever after since then. So that's one of my truly earliest memories. Kate, you're another very early memory for me. Your arrival here in Tupper Lake really made me appreciate the generosity of this community and the generosity of individuals in the community. Your parents had no idea what was going to happen, what was going to be the case. Nobody could. Nobody knew. But you grew into a beautiful and intelligent young woman. And that's the way it goes. There's that old adage about it takes a village to raise a child. And you know me, nobody believes more than I do about can you still not hear me? Nobody believes more than I do in that relationship between the home, school, and community. But it doesn't hurt to have a couple of great parents also, right? And in your case, a couple of brothers as well probably didn't hurt. Kaylee, you're another representative of this class that shows how the community of Tupper Lake in a time of need comes together like the Amish for a barn building. Where's Kaylee? I know she's here. So there she is. Every one of us sat on pins and needles during your recovery, and that's the way this community works. That's what Tupper Lake is all about. All for one and one for all. That's what happens. And since then, you have shown amazing grit and perseverance. And I'm afraid we're going to need those traits more than ever in the coming years. So I'm proud of the character that you've shown since then. Well, getting back to graduation marks, not all of them are evenly spaced like birthdays. But at least most of them are predictable. Birthdays, as I mentioned, evenly spaced. Pre-K happens towards the beginning of your timeline. Sixth grade moving up, and be careful, I always say moving up because there is only one graduation from this school district, and it's right here tonight. But another memory that I have, Sandra Kvasniak, I'll say that carefully because it was during her sister's graduation, just after, where I had made mention of the difficulty in pronouncing the family name. And if I ever did, her sister would march down to my office and punch me in the throat or something. But after that, I was in the gymnasium afterward, and we were talking, and I met up with Sandra's parents, and Sandra was there. And she kind of pondered out loud whether or not I would say something. What would I say about her at graduation? So I just said, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. But that wasn't true. I knew at that moment that I was going to tell that story about how she asked about her graduation in 2 years from now, 3 years from whenever it was. I thought it was so unbelievably cute. I had to remember it. So that's what happened. So are we good now? You're good. Excellent. All right. Any other Kwasniaks coming up that I should be careful of? Okay. All right. Good. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe there are. I don't know. So as you are all now well too aware, some events are not predictable and happen at different points along different people's timelines. A worldwide pandemic is a great example of that, right? It happened to all of us at the same time, but at different point on each of our timelines. For you, it blew up your senior year, and that is too bad, but that's what happened. For other people not graduating from high school, it blew up other things. But finishing high school is a big graduation mark. That's why we capitalize it. But far be it from Tupper Lake Lumberjacks to let a simple thing like a pandemic get in the way with your graduation with a capital G. So good for you. I do have to keep reminding myself that however difficult the past 4 months or 5 months have been, we're all lucky to be here today, and we're healthy. And those with us today out there in Carland are also lucky enough to be here today and part of the celebration of your commencement into the future. It certainly makes me appreciate life. Some of my perceptions of you were seemingly insignificant at the time in retrospect, but were life-affirming, and again, shaped the way I remember you. I was sitting at a concert or a play or something at the high school. I don't remember what. Mrs. McGowan was out of town, or she just simply didn't want to be seen with me that night and was not with me. So I'm sitting there by myself in my favorite seat, which is about 2/3 of the way up in the middle section on the aisle, when Dalton the Fountain comes in with a bunch of buddies. Dalton, you remember this? Yes, he does. Good. He stops and chats with me for a minute. And Dalton, no matter where we are ever, we're good for a conversation for a couple of minutes. So that's always nice. But at some point, he must have realized that I was there by myself. And he looked over, saw the empty seat, and said, "Hey, why don't I join you for the rest of this show tonight?" And he sat down and we watched the rest together. I never told Mrs. McGowan, I never told you this, but I was actually kind of glad she hadn't come with me that night, because I got to sit with Dalton and chat with him. What a nice gesture, Dalton. And truly, nobody ever really wants to sit with me, so I'll never forget that. It was the kind of thing I'll always remember about you, and I will remember about this class. You are nice people. You have always been nice people. And we could use more people like you in the world. So thank you for being that way all of these years. At this commencement, as a beginning, you will be the pioneers of a future post-pandemic world. And I object to the phrase that this is the new normal. There is nothing normal about any of this. No, the new normal is actually down the road in the future someplace. You'll be the ones, in part, who determine how that world will be shaped. What does freshman college year look like? What does college look like at all anymore? What about those of you entering the workforce? What does the workforce, what does a store, what does the mall look like during flu season? Must be one of those murder hornets just drove by here. Thanks for bringing that up, Mr. Bartlett. Now they're here. What will it look like in the future during flu season, just in general? Something tells me it's like right on the back of my head. Jeez. I saw a news article, you must have seen it, or some of you may have seen it also, that the military is actually going to be conducting practices or military exercises differently now. And speaking of the military, Lane, where are you? Lane, would you please stand up? Lane is entering the armed services in the Army. I thank you, Lane. I'm proud of you and wish you the best. You'll have to tell us how basic training goes this time around. You know, when the military has to accommodate for change, you know it's a big deal, right? Now, the new normal is down the road, and you'll be the ones that take part in forming that new normal. For me, I think of you like astronauts. You're the ones that are being launched out there. You know, what's it going to be like? You'll be the first ones out of this school to experience that post-pandemic world. Nobody else is in the position you're in at this particular place on your particular timeline. This is a huge graduation mark on your graduated cylinder of time. And in the same way, this is not a new normal, but it is truly a new beginning. But if there was ever a group of graduates suited and prepared for that expedition, it's you. And it's all of you. Grit, perseverance, kindness, adaptability, hard work, strength, perspective, character, all of these things. These impressions that I've had of you over these years were built from memories over the course of your 14 years. This is not a first impression of mine, but a long string of firsthand experience that demonstrates a pattern. And patterns that are repeated over and over and over again over a long period of time are called normal. So while you broke one pattern by getting me to agree to an outdoor graduation, you have the responsibility of creating a new pattern for everyone in the future. And knowing you, things are going to be just fine, I promise. Thank you and best of luck to you.
Next up, with the introduction of our guest speaker, Claire Dennis and Lauren Dennis.
Good evening, everyone. We are privileged to be announcing our guest of honor and speaker for the class of 2020.
After graduating from Tupper Lake High School in 2006, Mrs. Jarvis attended Siena College and received her Bachelor of Science degree in biology. She then went on to graduate school at the University of South Alabama and received a Master's of Health Science degree in Physician Assistant Studies.
Mrs. Jarvis first worked at a Veterans Affairs hospital, and she is now a civilian's physician assistant at the Naval Medicine Readiness and Training Command in Newport, Rhode Island. She works as a healthcare provider in the Deployment Health Clinic, where she ensures their service members are ready and able for their upcoming deployment.
Mrs. Jarvis has recently helped guarantee that sailors will be prepared for their deployment in the USNS Comfort, which is deployed to New York City due to COVID-19. Mrs. Jarvis is extremely proud to have served our diverse active duty and military veterans populations.
Mrs. Jarvis is an honored military spouse who has traveled all over the United States to live in different military stations along with her 3 wonderful children. Mrs. Jarvis and her family will soon be stationed overseas. In her spare time, she enjoys exploring the outdoors with her family, just as she did in her childhood in Tupper Lake.
With great honor and gratitude, we have the pleasure of Mrs. Jarvis speaking for us tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, please help us in welcoming to the stand, Caitlin Jarvis.
Good evening and greetings to all the students out here, teachers, parents, the grandparents, and friends of the Tupper Lake High School class of 2020. You made it. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak with you on this beautiful evening. Thankfully, there's no snow or rain because it is the Adirondacks. 14 years ago, I stood behind a similar podium as a graduate from the Tupper Lake High School. While you guys were getting ready for preschool, I was getting ready for college. So I'm dating myself here a little bit. But to go back to my graduation and how it looked a little bit different, it took place up the road in a hot, crowded gymnasium. It was a similar June day, but like I said, we were all indoors, not outside on this beautiful evening. Today looks a little bit different with our family in their temperature-controlled cars, listening to us on the radio, over the loudspeaker, or maybe at home on the live stream. But just because we may be separated by a little bit more distance this year does not make this day any less important for any of you. We're here because we are proud of your hard work this year and your perseverance. This year in particular has presented challenges that most of us, our parents, or even our grandparents have not seen in our lifetimes. Yet here we are together, celebrating this important day. I know this was not the graduation ceremony you were expecting, and although we've all been social distancing here, we're doing this for the greater good, and that is something you guys should be very proud of. When I started thinking about what I would talk about today, I had a difficult time finding the right words. I'm not here as a fellow student, as a teacher, or even a celebrity. I'm no Oprah, that's for sure. I'm standing here as a healthcare provider during a pandemic who was born and raised in this town. I went to school here. I played softball and soccer on the fields over there. I played basketball inside the gym. I ran around the inside of the LP Quinn more times than I can count. I participated in the band and chorus. I remember when Mr. McGowan and Mr. Davidson were my band teachers. I remember when Mr. Southwick was my guidance counselor and Mr. Bartlett was my biology teacher. And thank you, I did go on and get a biology degree. All those experiences during my childhood here helped shape my future. Since my high school graduation 14 years ago, when you guys were all preschoolers, so much has changed in the world and for myself. I went on to college, graduate school, had 3 children, lived in multiple different states, traveled around the world. But this isn't about me. If you look back over those last 14 years, I can tell you without a doubt, the world is a big, complex place. Having lived all over the United States and soon to be overseas, and having traveled the world back when we were able to do that, I can tell you that there are different cultures, and that uniqueness is something we all need to embrace, especially now. We're all different, but we all bring something important to the table. I've worked as a healthcare provider or a PA for almost 9 years now. Over that time, I've seen thousands of patients, from children to seniors. I've seen service members from all over the world. I've seen some of the strongest World War II veterans you've ever seen. I've listened to their stories and I've taken it all in. And this year in particular, I encourage you to listen to the stories of others. The ability to learn and grow, if only you listen, is so important. Even if those stories have to be told through FaceTime, Zoom, or a live stream, it's important that we support each other, especially now. This year has been a difficult time for healthcare, as I'm sure you've all heard. We've had supply shortages, surges of patients in some areas like New York City's, and shortages in other areas, but we've all pivoted and changed our roles. I've seen my colleagues step up to the plate, whether it was service aboard the Comfort in New York City or working at the heart of the epicenter. Clinic life also looks a little different these days. We've embraced telehealth and are using it for its full potential. And as a healthcare provider, I can tell you the healthcare community is still here and ready for whatever may come our way, because that is our role and job during this pandemic. And I know you've all faced many changes this year as well. 4 or 5 months ago, the school building as you knew it closed. You were asked to transition to remote learning. You didn't know if or when you'd be able to return to school. You didn't get a chance to say goodbye to your friends. You missed out on your prom, spring sports, award ceremonies, and so much more in person. However, I want you to take a moment to look at what you've gained during these challenging times. Although you feel like you've lost out on so much the past few months, you gained a skill set that you can take with you throughout your entire life, and that's the ability to adapt. I can tell you that ability to adapt is a real-world skill that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. This period of time has opened our eyes. We've all been challenged and realized now, more than ever, this world is a big interconnected place where we depend on each other. We have a greater appreciation for humanity, knowing we're not doing this for ourselves. We have more compassion, knowing we're protecting our grandparents. We've spent more time with our immediate family, for better or worse, and we've all become more creative, whether that means updating your latest moves on TikTok or possibly, doing online learning, online meetings, and drive-by birthday parties. Finally, despite COVID, your high school administration has developed a fabulous graduation ceremony today, and that I think we need a honking round of applause for. Thank you. So whenever you have a difficult time looking at the positives this year, because I know it's difficult, we need to be mindful that this will not last forever. So as your graduation ceremony ends and the celebrations look different this year, just remember that this was a year unlike any other. And despite the hurdles, you all made it to the finish line. Once you graduate, you hold the key to your future. And I want you to take the experiences from your time here in Tupper Lake and use them to find your own path. I want you to embrace the good parts of technology and put it to good use. We don't always know what the future holds. Whether that is college, becoming an entrepreneur, mastering your trade, joining the armed services, or starting your future job, everyone has a different path and role. And now more than ever, we know that all of these roles are necessary to keep us healthy and alive. If you haven't figured out what you want to do with the rest of your life yet, that's okay too. You still have time to learn and figure out exactly what it is you want to do in this world. Having traveled the world and having worked with people from all over the country, I want to let you know that this small, tight-knit community is always there when you need it. I've seen this community rise up time and again. Just like they ensured everyone had Chromebooks this year, they've helped families in need. The community perseverance and drive to accomplish things greater than yourself is remarkable. Traveling back to Tupper Lake brings back so many wonderful memories. I know a lot of you guys are ready to get out of here, but when you look back, you'll think about that first snowfall, the colorful leaves in the autumn, spending the summers out by the lake, or hiking one of the many mountains around us. If you look out beyond that track, you will see mountains. Those mountains I have driven by thousands of times during my childhood. I took those mountains for granted, and it wasn't until I returned I realized just how beautiful this area truly is. Life, especially recently, has been challenging. We could compare it to climbing a mountain. There's been highs and lows, just like there are struggles when you go hiking. But when you get to the top of that mountain, you need to stop for a minute and take a minute to look at the beauty that exists. So for a moment, take a deep breath, enjoy your accomplishment, And every time you struggle in the future, whether it's your future career, your family, just remember you can make it over that mountain. And as Dr. Seuss says, you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. You are resilient, so take what you've learned from 2020 and get on the way to the next chapter in your life. Because although the past few months have been difficult, this won't last forever. So thank you again for listening to my story. It has truly been an honor, especially this year. I wish you all the best in the future. Congratulations, class of 2020.
See, what do we have left to do? Anything important? Nah, I think we're good. All right, it's now time to present the seniors with their diplomas. Graduates, when I call your name, please come up to receive your diploma. This is the part where I panic because I can't find the list with everyone's name on it. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Okay. Ready? Stephanie Nicole Fortune. Logan Michael Dominy. Catherine Jaili Harriman. Sandra Jane Kwasniak. Claire Elizabeth Dennis. Patrick Jason Cody. Lauren Elizabeth Kavanaugh. Sean James Muller. Ava Madeline Kutaya. Yes, I did. Riley Robert Gillis.
Congratulations, Riley. Thank you. Did you want to do Jace? Congratulations.
Jace Andrew Clement.
I get to set it on the table. Congratulations, Jace.
Bella Claire Herr.
Congratulations.
Madeline Summer McIntyre.
Congratulations.
Shannon Bernice Susi. Amber Ann Torres. Sophie Day Arsenault. Lauren Carol Dennis. Tashina Morning Glory Fox. Jordan Patricia Hoig. Cassidy Lynn Kentile. Sierra Jacqueline Lavallee. Cody Raymond Hill. Joshua Damian Smith. Scott Allen Stewart. Bryce Merritt Davison. Lane Gonzalez Davison. Ryan Michael Pacerno. Skylar Joseph Pickering. Chance Maurice Rowley. Nicholas Hunter Skiff. Dawson Derek Walton. Destiny Faith Baker. Jenna Marie Leonard. Alexis Brianna Otley.
Congratulations.
Danielle Justine Roy. Riley Erica Strader. Emily Michelle Trumbull.
Congratulations.
Kaylee Louise Rabidou.
Congratulations.
Kaylee Ann Charland.
Congratulations.
Hannah Marie Thatcher.
Congratulations.
Alan David Ayotte. Aaron Mackenzie Clark. Hayden James Ormsby. Jacob Anthony Stradley.
Congratulations.
Hayden James Farnsworth.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Dalton Blaze LaFountain.
Congratulations.
Kirill Yaroslav Mihailovsky.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And Noah Joseph Sabo. Graduates, you may now move your tassels from left to right as I officially declare you graduates of Tupper Lake Central School. There you go. There you go. Oh, there we go. At this time, please welcome Ava Kataya, Class Vice President, to the stage for our closing remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Before I close this wonderful ceremony, I would just like to thank all the teachers, faculty, and family members that have helped us get this far in our education. Without you, we wouldn't be standing here today at all. In the beginning of this year, I said to some of my fellow classmates in study hall, there's no way we're graduating. Something's going to get in the way. It wasn't supposed to be taken literally. I just meant that the years flew by, and it just didn't feel like the end. But before we knew it, our senior year got cut short. We had to end it online. We didn't get to say goodbye to our coaches, classmates, teachers, and it felt so unfair, and it still does. But as we all felt stripped of the 1 year we had been waiting for since we were freshmen, something amazing happened. The community and the school made us feel pretty famous. I mean, I've never seen my face so much around town in my life. And all of a sudden, we were being adopted on Facebook, and our posters were all over the community. As a senior in the class of 2020, I would just like to thank all of you for making us feel so unforgotten and giving us a memorable end to our senior year. Well, we're all sitting here. We all made it. We all did pretty good. In our caps and gowns, ready to move on to the next challenge, and it's definitely been a year I'm never going to forget. I wish I could have finished my school in class and in person, still picking on Mueller every day of my life. But instead, I got to live through history. At the moment, it kind of stinks, I'm not gonna lie. But someday when we're all old and wrinkly, our grandkids are gonna ask for the history project. Did you really live through all that? Like, is it seriously a real thing? And then we can tell our story all over again. This is my final goodbye to Mrs. Sexton's meatballs, Curry's classroom gossip, Mrs. Savage's crazy game prizes and terrifying presentations, Cav's positivity, and finally, annoying Mr. Bartlett literally any chance I had in the whole entire day. It's hard to say goodbye to the familiar, but it's so exciting to see what the future holds for all of us. I know it's great things, because I know all of you, so it must be good, right? Congratulations, and as Michael Scott would say, may your caps fly as high as your dreams.
Well, that's it. The graduation ceremony we thought might never happen has officially happened. You're officially graduates. Thank everyone for attending this evening. Before anybody moves, the demolition derby at the Franklin County Fair has probably been canceled this year, so let's not do that on the way out. On the way out, if you would please only leave when you've been directed to by somebody in an orange shirt, then we don't have to see who's the last car standing. Please rise at this time as our class of 2020 exits.
know me, then you know where to find me. Off in the Bahamas with a bad one behind me. Now live it up, live it up, live it up. Baby, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. And we gon' all around the world. Go get it, girl. That's the way we like to play. We gon' all around the world. Go get it, girl. That's the way we like to play. I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. Tonight we making history. I just wanna celebrate. Turn it up. Turn it up. Well, I've been patiently waiting for you to shake it and shake it. Make it or take it. The point is we made it. Quarterback the game, call us Tom Brady, and it's not our fault that we have all the ladies, but it's hard to see these ladies when your middle name's Equator. All around the globe, matter of fact, see you later. They're great, we're greater, we're world dominators, and we're also some smooth operators, and we gon' all around the world. Go get it, girl. That's the way we like to play. We gon' all around the world. Go get it, girl. That's the way we like to play. I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. Tonight we making history. I just wanna celebrate. Turn it up. Turn it up. Live it up. Don't act like live you. It's a good time. That's what we're giving you. Now live it up. 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 What you wanna do? I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. Tonight we making history. I just wanna celebrate. Turn it up. Let's celebrate. Turn it up. Let's celebrate.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in your being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Oh, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it all. May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possessions, though immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educated guesses always be correct. And may you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Oh, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad you can imagine. Oh, no matter what your path is, if you believe it, then anything can happen. Go, 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 raise your glasses. Go, 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 you can have it all. I told you, here's to the hearts that you gon' break. Here's to the lives that you gon' change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we gonna have. You don't need money, got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we gonna have. Here's to you always making me laugh. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all.
I always knew this day would come. We'd be standing one by one with our future in our hands. So many dreams, so many plans. I always knew after all these years there'd be laughter, there'd be tears, but never thought I'd walk away with so much joy but so much pain. And it's so hard to say goodbye, but yesterday's gone. We gotta keep moving on. I'm so thankful for the moment. So glad I got to know you. The times that we had, I'll keep like a photograph and hold you in my heart forever. I'll always remember you. Another chapter in the book. Can't go back, but you can look. And there we are on every page. Memories I'll always save. Up ahead, only open doors. Who knows what we're heading towards? I wish you love, I wish you luck. For you, the world just opens up.